The 80s gave us some of the biggest rock legends, Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, but not every great band got the recognition they deserved. Some pushed the boundaries too far, some were ahead of their time, and others faded into obscurity. Today, we're diving into 10 incredible 80s rock bands that deserve way more love. Stick around till the end. You might just find your new favorite. 10. Zebra.
We sailed away. We walked miles and miles and then we slipped away.
When Zebra hit the scene in 1983, rock fans were blown away. Their soaring vocals, intricate guitar work, and progressive rock influences had people comparing them to Led Zeppelin. In fact, frontman Randy Jackson's voice sounded so much like Robert Plant that some listeners thought they were hearing a new Zeppelin record. Their self-titled debut album went gold, featuring the electrifying Tell Me What You Want, a track packed with raw energy and killer riffs. Then there was Who's Behind the Door, a song that leaned into their prog rock side with deep lyrics and intricate compositions. So why didn't Zebra become superstars? Timing. They came up right as arena rock was fading and hair metal was taking over. They had the talent, but they didn't fit the flashy, glam rock image of the era. Still, if you love powerful vocals, blistering guitar solos, and timeless rock energy, Zebra is a band you need to check out. 9. Fastway. Back in the early 80s, rock was evolving fast, blending bluesy riffs with heavier, more aggressive sounds. In the middle of this shift, Fastway emerged as a band that perfectly bridged the gap between classic rock and the rising metal movement. Formed by Fast Eddie Clarke after leaving Motorhead, their 1983 debut album was packed with bluesy hard rock bangers, including Say What You Will, a track so infectious it should have made them stadium-filling legends. Their music was raw, unfiltered, and full of attitude, a perfect mix of classic hard rock and the rising metal scene. They had all the ingredients for success, but things didn't go as planned. Constant lineup changes held them back, especially when vocalist Dave King left to form Flogging Molly. A lack of label support meant they struggled with promotion, and by the time they found their footing, rock music was shifting toward hair metal and thrash. Despite these setbacks, Fastway's early albums are hidden gems, pure, no-frills 80s rock that deserves a second listen. 8. Icon.
I've been messed with, been pushed around. I've been locked down to my knees.
The 80s were packed with bands fighting for the spotlight, but some seriously talented groups slipped through the cracks. One of them was Icon, a band that had everything: killer riffs, soaring vocals, and anthems built for the big stage. This Phoenix-based band hit the scene in 1984 with their self-titled debut, packed with powerful vocals, face-melting solos, and anthemic choruses. Their track, On Your Feet, is pure hair metal perfection, featuring shredding guitars and a chorus that screams 80s excess. Their second album, Night of the Crime, is often hailed as one of the most underrated metal albums of the decade. Critics praised it for its songwriting and production, yet it never got the big MTV push. In an era dominated by flashy glam bands, Icon had the sound but not the image, which meant they got lost in the shuffle. But if you're craving underrated hair metal anthems, Icon is a must-listen. Before bands like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains redefined rock in the 90s, King's X was already breaking new ground. Their 1988 album, Out of the Silent Planet, combined progressive rock, Beatles-like harmonies, and heavy riffs into something completely unique. Tracks like Over My Head not only showcased their incredible musicianship, but also their deep, soulful lyrics, making their sound truly stand out. Despite earning critical acclaim and building a loyal fan base, King's X never broke through to the mainstream. Why? Their music was simply too experimental to fit into any one genre. They were ahead of their time, and that often meant they didn't find the commercial success they deserved. But if you're into complex, emotional, and genre-defying rock, King's X is a band you absolutely need to discover. 6. Shooting Star.
When the stranger came to town, all the people watched with wonder.
Imagine blending the symphonic rock of Kansas, the power ballad mastery of Styx, and the raw energy of Foreigner. You'd get Shooting Star, a band that had everything it took to be huge. Their song Last Chance is an 80s anthem that deserved way more radio airplay than it ever got. With soaring vocals, dramatic keyboards, and that arena-filling potential, it was clear they had the chops to make it big. But despite their talent, Shooting Star never quite reached the heights they deserved. They were caught in a tough spot with bad timing and label issues, struggling to break through despite the musical prowess they brought to the table. On top of that, they faced a crowded market. Too soft for the metal crowd, but too hard for pop fans. If you're into melodic, dramatic rock with incredible musicianship, you need to add Shooting Star to your playlist. They may not have achieved mainstream success, but their sound is well worth rediscovering. 5. Y&T. Before bands like Motley Crue and Poison took over the Sunset Strip, Y&T was already laying the groundwork for the glam and hair metal explosion that would come later. Their 1981 album Earthshaker was heavy, energetic, and packed with unforgettable riffs. Songs like Forever and Mean Streak were not only powerful tracks, but also served as a blueprint for the hair metal bands that would dominate the scene in the years to come. Despite their influence, Y&T never hit the mainstream status they deserved. Why? Well, it came down to a combination of bad label decisions and constant mismanagement. They were often underpromoted, and by the time they started gaining momentum, shifting trends, especially the rise of grunge in the late 80s, took the focus away from their style of rock. However, don't let that overshadow their impact. If you love high-energy, riff-driven rock, Y&T is essential listening. Their music continues to be a vital part of rock history and a must for anyone who appreciates the heart and soul of 80s hard rock. 4. Aldo Nova. Ever heard the song Fantasy? Even if you don't recognize the name Aldo Nova, you've probably heard that iconic hit, a track that perfectly blends catchy synths, shredding guitars, and a stadium-sized energy that still feels timeless. Aldo Nova's 1982 debut album went platinum, and he seemed poised for greatness. With his unique sound and undeniable talent, it looked like he was on the verge of becoming a major star in the rock world. But behind the scenes, things weren't as smooth as they seemed. Label conflicts and creative frustrations kept him from fully realizing his potential in the spotlight. While Aldo Nova eventually became a highly respected songwriter for artists like Celine Dion, his solo work remains a hidden gem in the world of 80s rock. His music is a must-listen for fans of futuristic, synth-infused rock that defined an era. If you've never explored his solo career, now is the perfect time to discover what could have been a much bigger chapter in rock history. 3. White Lion.
Little child, dry your crying eyes.
If Vito Bratta's name isn't mentioned alongside legends like Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads, that's a crime. The guitarist's blistering solos and technical mastery should be celebrated alongside the greatest. White Lion's album Pride proved they had what it took to reach stadium levels of success. With massive hits like Wait and When the Children Cry, the band was primed to take over the rock world. Their blend of melodic rock and technical guitar work made them stand out, and Bratta's shredding guitar solos were as iconic as any of the era's top players. But despite their undeniable talent, bad management, shifting trends, and the grunge explosion ultimately buried White Lion before they could fully take off. As the music scene changed, the band's style, which had been perfect for the arena rock scene, became less relevant in the face of emerging grunge and alternative acts. Even so, their music remains a masterclass in technical, melodic rock. If you're a fan of precision guitar work and rock that blends catchy hooks with complex musicianship, White Lion's legacy deserves your attention. 2. Blue Murder. Led by John Sykes, known for his work with Whitesnake and Thin Lizzy, Blue Murder had everything it took to dominate the rock scene. The band's sound was packed with massive riffs, stadium-ready anthems, and mind-blowing solos that should have made them household names. Their 1989 debut album was a true showcase of everything great about 80s rock, with tracks that could fill arenas and a guitar-driven energy that set them apart. With Sykes' signature playing and powerful vocals, The album had all the ingredients to make it a chart-topping success. However, by the time Blue Murder dropped their debut, the rock scene was already shifting. Grunge and alternative music were on the rise, and the 80s hard rock sound that had once ruled the charts was quickly being overshadowed. Despite their talent and potential, they couldn't fully break through during this transition. Even so, if you love epic, polished, larger-than-life 80s rock, Blue Murder's debut album is an absolute must-listen. It's a snapshot of an era and a band that deserved more attention than they got. 1. Honeymoon Suite. If you've ever watched an 80s movie, chances are you've heard Honeymoon Suite without even realizing it. Their hit song, New Girl Now, was a staple of 80s soundtracks and remains a perfect example of the band's infectious, radio-friendly sound. Honeymoon Suite specialized in crafting catchy rock anthems with killer melodies that were made to stick with you long after the song ended. Their blend of hard-hitting rock with a melodic pop sensibility was their trademark, making them a favorite for fans who enjoyed feel-good rock with a strong hook. Despite their chart success in Canada, Honeymoon Suite never broke through to the mainstream in the US. Why? They were too rock for pop fans and too pop for rock fans, which left them in an uncomfortable middle ground. As a result, while their music was beloved, they couldn't find the same level of widespread fame as their contemporaries. Still, their music is the epitome of 80s nostalgia, perfect for fans of bands like Journey, Loverboy, and Night Ranger. If you're craving anthems that will take you back to the days of big hair and bigger melodies, Honeymoon Suite should definitely be in your rotation.